Hello, Scuba for Life with a review of the SEIKO Marine Master Spring Drive Professional 600-meter diver, also known as the model name SBDB009. I went through a watch clearance to get this watch. I really don't need that many watches in my collection. I'd rather have just a bunch of high quality watches that I really appreciate the features on them. For example, on this one, these aren't on the hands, they're not silver lined, so to speak. The border of it is white, and they do that for legibility. If you look at the other spring drives, like the Landmaster and the Space also, they have the same features. That it sounds minor, but in my experience, improves legibility by a lot. If you look at the SBDN015, that has the big arrow hands on it, and all of the silver border of that watch will still read easy, but it won't read as easy against a black dial or something like this. And also on the design aspect, the date display, how they put it between the markers here. I had observed that a while back ago, and I love that feature. I really nowadays don't need date display. I mean day rather, when I have a smartphone. And it also gives it a more military look because they place the date in between markers the same way. I like the white paint used on the bezel index and the bezel ring rather. And one thing I've noticed about Seikos is that going back even to 6309, probably previous divers, maybe in the golden tuna, between the 5, we're talking about the bezel index markers here, between 5 and 10, they'll have just 3 dots. That's not good enough for me. It won't make a difference for many people maybe, but I want to have 4 because that aligns with the bezel, the chapter ring index better. And that's the way it should be. These are technical watches. You want to count by the minute. Everything is important with stuff like that. I mean, this is like life support equipment for the timing capabilities. Very cool how on the 12 o'clock marker of the bezel index, they have a full triangle Lumibright. The 12 o'clock design arrow there right above the SEIKO, that's a design cue taken over from the land version of the spring drive and the space. A cool story really quick about the space feature of these watches. I'd already committed to buying this watch. There was a game developer that had flown up to space with Russians to go on a spacewalk. He invested all of his money to do this thing. I don't blame him. That's an experience I want to do, and I wouldn't replace that for anything. If SEIKO is putting those kind of movements and they can handle the rigors of space, this watch is good enough for me. I also am happy to finally have a power reserve feature on a watch. I've always wanted that. So let's turn it around really quick. A quick shot of the whole strap. It's a silicone infused. It's not like your typical Z22. It's almost like a $200 strap. It will last way longer. It stretches. It feels like old vintage dive gear rubber. But I prefer it's for comfortable. You don't have to break them in or anything like that. It already just stretches and curves and flexes like it should for comfort. This has the SEIKO sign crown versus you would now have Prospex, which I really would rather not have. That one is not engraved and this one is. Let's turn around really quick. Let's take a look. This is saying titanium, made in Japan, helium gas. What's so cool about these watches is that they don't have an escape valve. They've designed it so that they don't need it. The helium will not get in these based on the design. Really cool. 22 millimeter lugs. 600 meter water resistance, which they should have as a standard. They shouldn't have any tuna looking watches that don't have that. But of course, they want to keep it different between the SRP 637, for example, with 200 meter and this, just for differentiation. The other cool thing that I like is that you have a nice flat AR coated glass versus domed. I really prefer that. Sometimes it just gets bulky with having domed in terms of like bumping into stuff. And of course, it's sapphire, which is a big deal because even on the other ones, it's hardlex. It won't be other ones being the 007 and the 015. So that's some information on this watch. I hope you find it useful. If you're on the fence, I would say just get it. This watch is ridiculous. The power reserve is awesome, and it fills up really fast also by movement.